Okay, hello guys, welcome back to snaptechdev channel, and I'm your host Simba, and today we are learning about C++. So this is a C++ introduction video, and if you want to need to know C++, then this is the right place for you. So please click the like button, it helps with the algorithm, and if you want to see future videos of C++, don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a C++ related video. Okay, so what is C++, guys? C++ is a high-level language used to create high-performance application. What do I mean by this? C++ is very powerful and it's very fast. So if efficiency or if high performance is what you require, C++ is the best language you might pick to create that application with. So C++ gives the programmer a level of control over system resources, that is CPU and memory usage. So for example, in C++, you can create variables. Variables are memory allocations that store values or information. So if you want to accept like an input from the user, that input is stored on what's called a variable, a memory space allocate to store certain values, whether it could be the user's name, age, or birthday. All that information is stored in variables temporarily while the application is running. Then if you want to store that in a database, you can then do it later, but when the program is running, that information will be stored in memory. So C++ gives you the ability to further control, or gives you control on how much memory is being used by your application and how much CPU is being used by your application. So even if after you've done creating your software, you can then fine tune it in order for your software to use at least the least amount of resources. Because if your application requires a high powerful machine, that means people with low end machines are not going to be able to run, whether it's your game that you've created using C++. So it gives you that ability that even after you've created your game, let's say for example, you created a game in C++, you can then fine tune it so that that game can run on low end devices. That's the power that C++ gives you. Okay. So I think by now we've deduced that C++ is one of the greatest programming languages ever made, and to increase C++ is very easy to learn. Yes, I'm gonna say it again. C++ is very easy to learn. It teaches you the basics of programming language. So what do I mean by this? When you're starting like learning C++, you're not gonna just start in creating games and everything. No. You're gonna start with what is called terminal applications. These are applications that run on your command prompt window, that little black box. Yes. So what does that teach you? That teach you whatever that happens on the back end of most applications. Yes, if you are creating terminal applications, it gives you that step by step, that understanding of what should come first, next, and then last. Just as any system, it is input, then processing, then output. So C++ gives you the ability to learn that fundamental basics of programming, such that if you learn and master C++, it will be easier for you to master any future programming language you want, be it C#, Python, JavaScript, PHP. I started learning C++. This was my first programming languages. And as someone who didn't have a history or past with programming, I found C++ very easy to learn. It was exciting, especially when we get further into the for loops, like the structure, the syntax of C++, the type of errors you're going to come along. That is for future videos, but you see how easy and fun C++ is. So for now, I'm just going to show you what you need to get started with C++. So what you're going to need is what is known as an integrated development environment, or in short IDE. What this IDE does, it allows you to write your C++ code, and this IDE, or this integrated development environment, comes with a C++ compiler pre-installed. So we've mentioned that C++ is a high level language, right? Yes. So your C++ language or your C++ instructions are not understood by the computer. So a compiler is needed to compile your C++ code into machine language, which is binary. So a compiler is what sits between your code and the CPU, so that if you instruct your program to accept the input from the user, the compiler is going to tell the system or your CPU to ask the user to input, let's say, his name. So those kinds of instructions are compiled by the compiler, and then they are passed on to the CPU as binary, which is zeros and ones, which the computer understands. So there are very many different IDEs for C++ out there. The first common one used by many people is the Microsoft Visual Studio. Yes, C++ is a .NET framework language, which means integrated with Microsoft Visual Studio. So if you are a .NET, or if you want to be a .NET programmer or a .NET framework programmer, C++, it's very easy to learn for starters. Then you can later move on to C#, and all the applications written in C++ are gonna perfectly run on your Windows PC. Yes, so if you program on a Windows computer, it's very, very, very easy for you to run your C++ applications without any need to install like third-party, extensions, something like that. So you're gonna need an IDE, and I've already mentioned Microsoft Visual Studio Code. The second most popular is CodeBlocks. Yes, CodeBlocks also comes with a C++ compiler, so you can still use that. But me, when I started, I used this application called Dev C++. Yes, I used this back in 2016, and I still have the setup until today because I like the interface. It was very easy to get started with my projects, and for school we have lots of assignment. It's very easy and very lightweight on my CPU. So for a lot of guys, like we're in 2021, so if you download like Microsoft Visual 2021, it's gonna be heavy if you run something like a low-end PC. So applications like CodeBlocks and Dev C++ only come with whatever you need to write your C++ program installed. So Microsoft Visual Studio, it gives you more options, like you can write code in C++, C#, JavaScript. It has support for many other languages, even Python. So it makes those programs big, and they take a quite number of resources on your PC in order to run. So if you want to save your resources as much as possible, you can use this standalone C++ only, like Dev C++ or CodeBlocks. So to get started, you click File, New, then let's go to Project. And since you are starting with the basics, guys, so let's click the console application, and on our name, let's write hello world. That's the name of the program. So yes, Dev C++ comes with support for C++ and C. And C++ is just an improved version of C. C is like the father language, and then it was improved to create C++. Then let's click OK. Then a pop-up will appear like this one. Just like hello world, it will be written already. Just click save, or you just navigate to the desktop or any other folder. Just create a desktop, or just create a folder on your desktop to save your project, like the project folder. I've already created mine. It says introduction, so let's just save it in there. So you're gonna see this basic code. Is every time you start a project, this code is already there for you. So what C++ does is it has a lot of built-in functions that makes it easy for you as someone who is just starting with code, so that you don't have to write everything from scratch. So it has these libraries, and all you have to do is code these libraries, pass them arguments, they do the calculation, and then they give you the results. And if you want something specific, then you're going to have to write that function yourself. But if you want to do the basics, like let's say calculate square root, then there is a CMath library that is just dedicated to calculate things like square root, whatever area of a triangle, or whatever you want to calculate. Most of the basic calculations, you have a library that does that for you. So example include iostream. This library deals with your input and outputs. Yes, so if you want to accept input from the user, or if you want your software to accept things like, let's say you're building a calculator and you want to accept the first number and the second number, this iostream library is gonna allow you to ask the user to input that with the two numbers he wants to add. So, and if you want to display messages to the user, like, oh, like, thank you for registering, or thank you for using my application, in output you want to show the user, then you're gonna need this IO stream. Yes, it's the input output stream. And to easily use this, include the statement below using namespace std, and then you terminate. Yes, so let's get things straight, guys. C++ is a very case sensitive programming language. That means you have to terminate every C++ line with a half colon. So terminate, guys, terminate, always remember to terminate. It's very case sensitive. If you forgot to terminate like one line and you've written like 100 lines of code, that one line is gonna stop you from like running the rest of the 99 code that is correct because of that one line. Because before you run, or before you test your application with C++, application with the code you've written in C++, the compiler compiles the whole code, guys, the whole code, everything you've written, and it checks for errors. Then if it finds no errors, then it will run the program. So you are not gonna pass that compile stage if you have a lot of errors in your code, or if you have forgot to terminate most of your statements. So to avoid that kind of errors, they are called syntax errors, whereby you forgot to terminate, or you forgot a curly brace when you're calling a function. Those type, or if you omit to write something that is crucial for your code to run, those are called syntax errors. So those ones are the first common type of errors you're gonna run into, because if you haven't or if you haven't programmed anything in the past, you are new to programming, you are going to omit most of these syntax errors. Or maybe you forget to terminate, maybe you forget the opening curly, or you have pressed the opening curly but you forgot to close that curly brackets, or whatever. You open the for loop and then you forget to close it, and just move on to the next section of your code, forgetting to close whatever you're doing above. So as I've mentioned, the IO stream, it allows you to input and output information from your program. So since you want to tell, or since this is an introduction, let's just write a quick hello world, and you end the video from there. I don't want the video to be too long. Okay, so in order for you to write the hello world, you write this keyword cout, that tells the C to output whatever message you are going to output, and you put this double less than signs. Yes, double less than signs, and then you put double quotes, hello world, and then always terminate, guys. Oh, don't forget to terminate. Yes, I want to output hello world. Then maybe if you want to move to the next line, before you move to that next line, terminate that line using half colon, then press enter to the new line, and then write your next line of code. Always terminate, guys, because C++ is very case sensitive. So I've written my shortcode hello world. Let's run the code. So in order to run the code, if you look at these GUI icons, we have shortcuts or icons we can click. Follow my mouse, I'm sure you can see it. On that almost top left corner, there's an icon with 4 boxes. If you have over it, it said compile. The shortcut is F9. So if you click it, let's look. Well, let's save our project. Replace. Let's look at this section. I've clicked compile, and as you can see, my code is being compiled. The dev C++ compiler is checking for errors. Yes, the compiling is finished. So as you can see, we've got 0 errors, and then we've got 0 warnings. And in a future video, or the next video, I think I'm going to explain the difference between errors and warnings. Then, since I've compiled my code and there are no errors, I'm going to click the next icon or shortcut F10 to run or to run my little program. Let's click it, and it opened on my second screen. This, so as you can see, my hello world, and then a short message that is telling me if I'm done, or if I'm done using this application. I will just press any key to continue. Like if you just press any key or spacebar, it's gonna close. The program is gonna finish running. So let's say this return 0 is an inbuilt function again that allows the user, or that pauses the program and allows the user like to see the results. Because without this return 0, if we just run our code, okay, let's compile. And let's run. Let's compile. Okay, maybe the C++, let's say when I get started, I think I was programming using Windows 7, and if you didn't put that return 0, it will just display a hello world and it will automatically close. But I think some of the command prompt or the CMD in Windows 10 is improved. It is pausing before it automatically closed, so that's a bonus. But always put the return 0, guys. Even if you're using Windows 10, and if you don't put the return 0, your program could always put it, because sometimes you may run into errors whereby you open your application, it closes on its own. So always put return 0. So F9 is for compile, F10 is to run, and then F11 is to compile and run, and then F12 is just to reboot this, or to repeat your whole project file. This one doesn't matter. I think most of the people are gonna use this F11 compile and run, but there's no need for you to click the compile and then click the run. You just click the compile and run, and your project will run. So I think that's it for today's video. Let's just stop there, and then I will catch you guys in the next video. I'll explain further on C++. And one thing that I've forgot to mention is that every code, or when C++, or let's say just every time you click run, C++ is gonna start to execute your code inside this end main function. So it's gonna find this main function, or the main function of your program, and it's gonna start executing from there. So in future, you'll see that we have functions outside the main function, and we have the code inside the main function, and then we can just call or reference those functions from inside the main function. You see how that goes. It's very fun, but it's not that hard. C++ is very easy, and yet it's very powerful, guys. That's why I love it. Until next time, thank you for watching the video, and please, if you haven't already, click the like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for your support. I will see you next time.